Welcome to Embrace the Squiggle, where we celebrate growth through change. And our guest today represents a very full circle moment for me. We went to the same college where we did not actually meet or know each other. And then we started off our careers early on working for an HR outsourcing and recruitment agency, to then fast forward to now, where we are both working within the MSP industry for IT services. Never a landing spot we thought we would find ourselves together. And here we are, so excited to have Shawn Thornton, the founder and CEO of SmartBiz IT. Welcome, Shawn.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm definitely excited to be here. And like you said, what a full circle moment. I never could have imagined this when we connected. I'm not going to say the time frame because I'm not going to age us, but when we connected
Thank
those
you.
years ago, that we would be sitting here now. So I'm definitely excited. And I thank you both here for the opportunity to be here and speak today.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. But before we kind of dive into the business that you've started and are scaling up, I really would like to kind of rewind back to where we first met and see if you could share what you thought you were going down a path for at that time and what the biggest change or shift was to lead you to where you are now.
So at that time, I was a young buck, not too far out of college there, and honestly wasn't exactly sure where my career is going to be headed. So I graduated with a degree in marketing and psychology, went into a little bit of sales, and then went into our HR recruitment type space that we were in when we first connected. And when I first started that, wasn't exactly sure where I was going to be, but it sure isn't where I am now. I can tell you that. I never thought I'd be doing what I am today. But when it comes to full circle moments, it's just amazing to kind of look back and see where I started and where I ended up in the journey and the untraditional routes that I've taken to get here.
Ooh, I love that. Can you tell us more about what you define as untraditional routes? Because that's typically what we celebrate here on the podcast.
So, like I said, graduated with a marketing psychology degree and then getting into IT recruitment. And never thought I would actually now be in cybersecurity, running my own cybersecurity firm and supporting small business and startups. When I was first kind of in the recruitment field, I kind of started connecting and hiring IT professionals. And to be transparent, I was like, I'm hiring people that are making a lot more money than me. I want to be like them. So, so then I started studying up on IT, and most of the IT that I've learned hasn't been through the traditional schooling sense, but it has been self-taught, taking certifications online and going through those processes versus being in school and just kind of learning my way through it to getting to this point here. So it's definitely been a winding road to get here, but I am definitely glad to be in the position I am in now.
So, Shawn, I find a lot of folks in IT have that internal motivation. And I see some sports memorabilia there behind you. So I feel like it's an athlete thing too, that they have that internal motivation to learn, to take those certifications. Because even if you had your master's in IT, it changes so quickly, right? The IT today is completely different of the IT a year ago, 2 years ago. Think of just how AI has transformed us. Talk to me a little bit about that, like that intrinsic motivation that I'm guessing you have to learn and do those certifications and move up and all of those pieces, which not everybody has.
Yeah, to kind of say that, it's kind of hard for me to touch on that because it just comes naturally to me. I would say I've always been intrinsically motivated like this. My mom would even give me a hard time because back when I was like in sixth grade, I was getting out an ironing board and like ironing my shirts and pants. I was the only person coming to school at like the age of like 10, 11, making sure my stuff was pressed. And my mom was like, I don't know if I've ever met a 10 or 11-year-old who wants their clothes ironed like that, but I was always just go-getter, wanted to make sure that I'm good, make sure that I presented myself well, but then also just I've always had the drive to be successful. I don't know if it's part of me being the oldest. It's me and my brother, so maybe the older brother syndrome thing there as well. But I just feel like I've always had that drive in me to succeed and push through. So that's just part of my DNA and who I am and how I'm wired.
It explains so much. I used to think you were just always so sharply dressed and put together, and you would represent the phrase of dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And I always felt that about you. So now knowing that it stems back from an ironing board at 10 years old explains so much.
Yes, yes.
So, while this is not about me, I would love to hear if you have a story from us working together in our earlier days that still makes you kind of chuckle or wonder how we made it out of there.
Yeah. We really want to hear the dirt on Ashleigh because she's so buttoned up. We never really feel like we know the real Ashleigh here. Said nobody ever.
Well, I'll say Ashley has always been buttoned up, so she's always been that way here. But like when we first started there at the company, we were some of like me, you, and another person were like some of like the first three that kind of came in before we really expanded out into that delivery center model that they had there. So I remember us coming in. I don't remember like if you remember where they didn't have an office space for me, so I kind of sat in the closet space with the microwave.
Oh my God, I forgot. Yes.
I kind of forgot about it now, but yeah, I sat in there. So like I'd be taking calls, and then people would be coming in there warming up their food. I'm just sitting in that little small little closet, just working because there wasn't enough space until we moved into that new building. So I do remember that, and I just remember us going out as like the newbies, going to the happy hour, trying to fit in and figure out where we belong within the organization. But we definitely had a lot of fun and a lot of learning together.
Yes. And first of all, I had completely forgotten about that. And now I have that image back in my head. And what, what a ridiculous place for you to start in. But then to think back, you went from that being your office space to then going and working for a large name brand like Amazon. So let's talk about the kind of the dichotomy, right, of starting off in a closet with a microwave to then working for a brand like Amazon. And then we can step over to from Amazon to then being MSP founder. But tell us a little bit about the journey to and with Amazon.
Oh yeah, I mean it was a winding journey to kind of get to Amazon, and the way it kind of fell into my lap was very serendipitous and kind of meant to be here. So I was happy in my position that I was in before I was with Amazon, but I guess this kind of goes to show back just yes, my relationship building as well. Someone that I used to work with before that I hadn't talked to in several years just reached out on me and he was like, Shawn, I'm building a team and you're the first person I thought of. I want you to come join me here at Amazon and
Wow.
help support me because like I know your work ethic and I know you're someone I could trust and someone I could just plug in and not have to sit there and, look over their shoulder, worry about training. I know you're going to come in and do a fantastic job. So came in, went through their laborious interview process, which is probably the most difficult interview process as I've ever been through, with 6 rounds, with the last interview with 7 different people. So it was very, very intensive to get through that portion, but kind of getting on board there and then being able to work with them hand in hand. It was so seamless because we knew how we operated. So we really built a really strong team there. And I got to really be able to grow within Amazon, be able to transfer around a few different positions and a few different teams and just learn things and be able to learn from an organization as big as Amazon was huge. And I took away a lot of key skill sets there. And then from there, when I was transitioning out of Amazon here, I was trying to think about what my next opportunity was going to be, and that leads into where I am here today.
So what was it as you were transitioning out of Amazon? Did you say, okay, now's the time, I'm ready to be a founder? And I asked that question because you have 3 founders here on this, podcast today. And I've always said, I feel like to be a founder, you have to have a little bit of crazy because it's not easy. So what was it where you said, okay, now I'm ready to be a founder?
So yeah, with my time there at Amazon, there was going to be a required relocation, and just moving outside the state of Michigan was an option for my wife and I. So we were thinking about, okay, what's my next move going to be? And I've always wanted to be a business owner. I've always had that drive within me. And I was like, if I don't do it now, when? If I don't now, I'm going to look back on this and say, that was the opportunity and I let it slip by. So I'm always like, okay, let's make something happen here. I mean, there's always a good risk, but I always look at it too as like, what's the worst that could really happen? If it didn't work out, then I would go back into the corporate world and find a job. But I was like, let me go out here and take this risk. And I started talking to people in the Metro Detroit area ecosystem, small business owners, and then I saw that there was a gap for the type of services I offer that are geared towards them. So that's when the light bulb moment hit. I was like, I can do this. So from there, we put together this business and then started this here about a year ago, and things have been growing and have been very successful so far. So I'm very happy with the move that I've made.
Well, first, I just also want to say that having been born and raised in Michigan and watching you build this business and the people that you're serving and the clients that you're serving, it's just such a proud moment. Because I agree that I feel like there's opportunities like this and gaps like this in the ecosystem there. So to see you filling those gaps is really incredible, and I'm very proud of what you're building and
Thank
excited
you.
to watch it keep going. And I guess, what would you say now, being where you are from start to now, what has been the biggest surprise in running your business?
The biggest surprise. Um, you always know that running a business is going to be difficult, but even I still think I underestimated the level of difficulty starting this up and all the hats that I would have to wear while being a business owner and getting things
Mm.
started. Because as a founder, can't really afford to hire anybody till you really start bringing in business. So you're wearing your marketing hat. I'm wearing my cybersecurity hat. I'm wearing my accounting hat, which I'm terrible at. I'm wearing all of these different hats while trying to also grow and work my business and work on the business versus working in it as well. So just being able to try to juggle all of that was and still is definitely a challenge, but I think I'm getting better at juggling. So I think that's a good thing here as well. But then also understanding what serves my business and what doesn't, because there was a lot of things I was doing at first where I was trying to do everything, going to every event, throwing spaghetti at the wall, just seeing what sticks. And with a lot of that came some a lot of funds that went down the drain as well, but a lot of lessons learned with that.
So when you think about all of those hats as entrepreneurs, all of those things, right? The marketing, the accounting, the right. Last week I said, "Oh God, I just realized that last year I never filed my LLC paperwork, so I had to file
Oh,
it twice this year and pay twice in the same month because yay, Taxachusetts." Um, and when I think about all of these learnings, how did you figure all that out? Did you have a mentor? Did you do some classes, right? How did you figure out all of those things that we have to do as entrepreneurs?
Ooh, good question.
so did a lot of reading and research, a lot of trial and error. So there's a lot of mistakes that were made that I've learned. Okay, don't do that again. That was expensive. So definitely learned from that here. And then also I did have someone that was very helpful to me. It was a great coaching mentor. I actually ran into this gentleman at an event. Maybe what was this? September time frame here. Great gentleman, and he was offering actually a couple months of free coaching, and I found that to be really invaluable to me because he really helped me reframe my mindset and the way I was looking at certain things as well, which made me really kind of open myself up to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I do need to think about this in a different way, or I do need to make sure I have loftier goals and making sure that I'm documenting these things and really following up on those things. So having him was very invaluable to that too, because it really kind of helped me refocus and understand, okay, this is my path.
I find when things fall in our lap that way, and we meet people where the relationship building portion is so easy to connect with them, right? And the opportunities present themselves so easily. For me, I always feel like that's how you know it's meant to be, when there isn't any forcing the peg into the round hole, that
Right.
we are able to embrace it so easily. That's how I always use that as a sign that I'm on the right path. Do you feel like now, since you've started your business and you've had these people come into your life and you found this gap, do you feel like this is your path now?
Yes, yes, I do, because I've had multiple of those types of things happen even in the past year, where just people
Mm.
have just been showing up just at the perfect time that have kind of put me down the right path. I mean, even when I was first starting, I was kind of focusing in a different area. And then I had someone come up to me and ask, like, do you focus on this area of business? And I was like, I wasn't before, but if you're asking for the services, I will now. And that kind of led down a whole nother path of service offerings that we now provide and offer that have really helped us grow. So it was just people coming in at the right time, taking advantage of the opportunities when they're presented it to myself and to you has been one of the biggest things that have just really, really helped me grow.
And I feel like that can get tricky as well, because sometimes you start saying, "Oh, sure, I can do that. Oh, wait, I can do that. Oh, I can do that." And now all of a sudden you're running a business that has zero focus. And I
Mm.
know I could definitely be accused of that on multiple occasions when, I have some of these projects that are so outside the scope of what I would do for anybody else, but either they paid well or they were interesting or I liked the person. How do you deal with that, right? Have you figured out that it's worth taking some of those on, or are you at the point where you're like, "Nope, pushing those away, not doing that anymore?"
So now that we've refined and know what our target market is and our service offerings, I'm very specific about, okay, what we take on and what we don't. And I actually have a document that I use anytime I'm making a big decision, or if I should move forward with something that's maybe outside our scope. Does it serve us? And it kind of goes through everything, like our product offerings. Does this make sense? Or is this me just getting either like shiny object syndrome or just chasing things that aren't going to be fruitful? I was like, I could do this, but then it's going to take away from our core offering, pull our team away from our core offering. So then that's actually going to hurt us down the line. It might look like it's great right now to bring in that revenue, but how is that going to affect our ability to support our current customers and future customers down the line? So being more, um, I guess,
Strategic.
strategic and purposeful
Really?
about
Yeah.
those. Yes.
Yeah, so smart. Getting that screening tool together is such an important part of being a business owner, and knowing, right, what's in your lane. Or sometimes, like you said, you build some of the business because you get 50 people who ask you for something. Well, maybe it's time to add that to your offerings, but to keep your lane,
Exactly.
smart business decision.
Also, maybe we need to copyright shiny object syndrome. I have always said, and heard, don't be distracted by shiny objects, but you're right. There is also a syndrome to that.
And it's so hard not to, right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, there's a shiny object that you're thinking, ah, that could be interesting. That would be really fun. And again, it takes you away from your core business model.
Exactly. I had a situation like that just a couple weeks ago where I had the opportunity to potentially look at some other businesses, but it's just outside of our wheelhouse. And I was like, okay, we could do this, but then I really sat back and really did the math. Okay, the amount of time, resources that have to go into it, pulling people away from what our day to day is. I was like, this isn't going to help support us or serve us in the long run. So I turned it down, which is always hard to do when you see money in front of you. Like, but I realized it's not going to help us in the long run.
Wow, that's really wise, and certainly a lesson that any first time, even long term founder, we all need that, and we need that reminder so often, because to your point, it is hard to turn down something that looks like it has dollar signs there, but when you see the whole trajectory of it, is it really going to be worth what you're putting in? So huge piece of wisdom to take away from here, surely. Um, have you had a moment in your career where you felt like the sky was falling, right? Where Chicken Little, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. I'm taking a huge step backward. This isn't where I saw things trending. And then it ended up being something that really led to you being pushed forward?
That's a good question. So I would say yes, I kind of did have that moment. Actually, right after I left the company that you and I were originally working at there, I
Ah,
kind of had sometimes when I was trying to figure out what's my next move going to be. Do I want to stay in this field? What does it kind of look like? And I'd say for about maybe a year and a half or 2 years there, I did bounce around between a couple of different companies because I just wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I felt like I kind of lost. I was like, is this going to be my career for the rest of my life? Do I really enjoy doing this? Do I want to pivot into something else? And then I had opportunity kind of fall in front of me that was more of the IT focus that really started getting me into the IT and cybersecurity and tech lane. So I would say, yeah, right after that was kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of lost. And then that opportunity arose, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to take that. But then looking back, it was the best decision that I made.
my mom years ago explained it to be the theory of the arrow. And I've shared this so many times throughout my career since then. But an arrow can only shoot forward once it's been pulled backward first. And so every time I've had moments where I felt like it was a setback, I just would convince myself, no, this is the arrow moment. I'm being pulled back right now so that I can shoot forward. And when we have moments, when we're in the pullback moment, right, it feels terrible because you think this is not where I see myself or not what I want to do. And then when you have the shooting forward moment, you say, this is why. And so now I try to reframe my mind just to that point. So
I love that analogy. I'm gonna use that. Yeah, I've never heard that before, but I do love that analogy.
it's great to use with kids too, just as an FYI. When you think something's not going your way, you can use it and maybe help refocus them. So, what do you want our followers and our listeners to know about SmartBiz and what you're building with your business now?
So I guess with Smart Biz IT, yeah, we really focus in on providing cybersecurity and compliance focused IT services specifically to startups and small businesses. So we deal a lot with businesses that are handling sensitive data. So, for example, we have a lot of clients in the healthcare and health provider industry because they obviously need to meet HIPAA compliance. So we're making sure that they're securing their data, the client's data, and have the proper protections in place. We also do a lot with financial advisors and those in the accounting field. So that way they're obviously handling very sensitive information there as well. So making sure that they're staying protected. And then doing a lot with startups and SaaS businesses because for them to get larger enterprise deals or even investors, there's certain compliance standards they have to meet to be able to prove that they have the right cybersecurity and disaster recovery plans in place. So really working with them and acting as their fractional cybersecurity team to make sure that they're staying safe and protected. So
Do you ever hire in interns?
I have not yet, but that is something that we're looking on here. So, like I said, getting into the 1 year mark here, most of our support is coming from contractors. So, for example, I have a 24/7 security operations center that I have contractors and VAs supporting for our cybersecurity efforts. That way, if someone hacks in the middle of the night, you're still being protected. And I have a lot of other contractors that I'm working with from that standpoint. But I am looking at here in 2026 what it looks like to bring in interns because one of the things that I really believe in is building up the community here in Metro Detroit. I'm Detroit born and raised, and I want to see the next generation be able to come up and be successful as well. So I am very passionate about being able to provide those education and those resources to the younger generation as they're growing up and giving them some of the, I guess, and field experience that they would need. So that is definitely something that's on our radar here for 2026.
I love that. Colleen and I are very passionate about that and helping people uh, get their chance and be seen and noticed, whether it's coming out of college or their career shift or to your point, all of our point, we've all had those, those pivots and shifts on our career paths and needing somebody to give us our shot. So, so I'm really happy to hear that and appreciate you doing that for the community. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the reasons why I started this. Is just okay. I wanted to be able to give back to Detroit businesses as well as um, Detroit youth, so giving them the opportunities.
So, Shawn, what's your favorite tech tip as
Ooh.
the non-tech person who's married to a tech person, or who's married to a marketing person who works for tech, I guess? But right, what's the thing that you're always like, God, if everybody could just do this thing, it would make my life so much easier, or their lives easier?
I would say one of the biggest things that I'm working with people on, just from a basic cybersecurity tip that would help with a lot of hacks and other things, is turn on the two-factor authentication or the multi-factor authentication. Please turn it on. I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have time for it." It literally takes you another 5 seconds. That's like saying you don't have time to lock your door when you're leaving your house. Like it
Ooh,
just,
good analogy.
Yep.
yeah, just make sure that you're using that, because that can prevent a lot of things. Because even if your password gets leaked, because we're all hearing about passwords being leaked every day from these big conglomerates, a lot of those things you can't control, but you can control that, because even if someone gets your password, they would need that additional code to get into your account. I've been dealing with a couple of businesses here over the past couple of weeks that didn't have that set up, and they've had their emails hacked, and have unfortunately been victims of phishing scams where they've lost tens of thousands of dollars to that. So I'd say that one of the biggest things you can do is that multi-factor authentication. It's one of the simplest things you can do as well.
It's like that, and don't have your password be password 123, right? Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't do that. One of my other big things here is use a password manager. That way, you only have to
Mm-hmm.
remember one password. You can have one long password, and then that password manager will house all your other passwords, because you should never reuse a password for another service. So make sure you just use that password manager, because then you don't have to think about it, and you just go, okay, my password manager has all my other passwords stored in there. And most of us have it on. If you have an iPhone, Apple offers you a free one. If you have an Android, Google offers you a free one. So you don't have to pay for it, and you can be able to have those there.
Also, just my over 40-year-old brain won't store them. So somebody has to.
Yeah,
100%. 100%.
because otherwise, and if you have 20 different passwords, they're going to all be easy, because you're not going to remember 20 long passwords. So just use a password manager and use multi-factor authentication. Those will, save you so much headache and grief down the line.
Yeah.
And I even think from a personal standpoint, how many people will say things like, I don't have anything important. It's like, and then you I look at my password manager and see the hundreds of different things that you have passwords in, right? Everything from the place you shop to your, yeah. Do I care if someone hacks my Gap account? Probably, it's not going to kill me if it's not going to really impact my life if someone gets into my Gap or Old Navy account. But, you know, most people are using that same password for their bank account and their credit card and all of those fun
Exactly.
things.
Exactly. If you're online, I was like, I'm sure all of us have something to lose. All of us have a bank account, I'm sure. So
Hmm.
that could get hacked. Or, if like you said, your Gap gets hacked, someone could charge up hundreds of thousands of dollars on your credit card that you have attached to that. And that could cause issues. So, yeah, there's always something that could be taken. And trust me, these hackers are going to find it.
That's great. And the multi-factor authentication, I know I even groan every single time I have to use it for so many different things. And it's like, oh, all right. Yes, I know. I got to go get the stupid number on my phone from the, app. But again, like you said, a couple of seconds here or there versus hours, days, lost money, all of that. So listen to Shawn, folks. Listen to Shawn. All right, Shawn, we're going to jump into our rapid fire questions here. So,
All right, let's get ready.
I'm so tempted
Love
to be
this
like,
part.
so what's your favorite password? But we won't be mean. All right. So I always love to hear, what are you binge watching or watching on TV or streaming these days?
So when I actually have time to watch TV, because that doesn't happen too much now, running a business, that's for sure here. But um, my wife and I have been big, like the Yellowstone fans and all of the spinoffs. So we're now watching Wire Marshall with Casey from the spinoff of Yellowstone. So that's a big one right there that we really watch. Other than that, we're big documentary type people, so we'll find documentaries on stuff either on Netflix or whatever else to be able to watch. But I'd say right now, Wyatt Marshall's is probably the thing that we watch. Oh, and another show that we enjoy is Ghost. I don't know if you guys have seen
Yes.
that, but we
Yes.
definitely love that. We find that show hilarious, so we would do watch that.
It is so funny and just like a light, fun comedy. It's one of those ones that every time it pops on, I'm like, oh yeah, that's on tonight. We get to watch that. But
Yes.
yeah. Okay. What are you bringing to the potluck or the barbecue? What are you showing up with?
Ooh, I love barbecuing. It's one of my favorite things to do. I have like a full set. I have like a Blackstone. I have a
Ooh.
couple of different smokers. I have a pizza oven. So I love. So the thing that I'm probably most known for that everybody asks me to bring is my smoked mac and cheese. I make a great smoked mac and cheese that everybody loves. So that's the dish that I bring to any of the potlucks or Thanksgiving. I'm asked to do that anytime I'm going. My in-laws are always like, Shawn, you know what to bring. That's smoked mac and cheese.
And
Colleen and I are going to bring ourselves to your potluck, is what's going to happen based on what
Oh,
you just described.
you're more than
yes,
welcome. Anytime you guys here in Michigan, more than welcome to come. Man, the door is open. I will gladly do that for you. Yes, absolutely.
I don't think I've ever had smoked mac and cheese. So now I'm all
Intrigued.
right.
Yeah.
Now we got to get back to Detroit one of these days. All right. So are you an inbox zero or an inbox total chaos kind of guy?
Total chaos. Total chaos. Like I have it set up where like labels and then I have like I'll pull up my emails, but like yeah, I have so many emails that are probably unread, but they're mostly like, okay, that's just a newsletter or something else. So yeah, I'm not an inbox zero type guy. That's I guess this is not in my nature. So yep, I definitely on the opposite end of that.
All right. One of my other favorites is what's your go to pump up song? Like, what are you listening
Ooh.
to when you need to get motivated?
Ooh, my go-to pump up sound. That's a good question. Huh.
Or it could be your
So,
go to pump up band or artist.
I mean, I listen to quite a few different things here, but I'm a, like when I'm really trying to get hyped up, I'm like a '90s hip hop type of guy here.
Oh,
Uh, so I'm definitely kind of into that, just kind of getting hyped with that. So give me anything from like a '90s hip hop era, or if I'm really getting out or we want to try to have fun, my people, but I'm a huge Will Smith fan, so I'll put Getting Jiggy with It or something like that on, and I'll start dancing to that. But yeah.
Excellent. All right. And our last one for you, which is what book do you recommend people read? Or like, what's a book that you give people as a gift, right? That go to one that you're like, hey, you should read this.
So if there's a book that I would recommend to someone, and it's a book that I've read a couple of times here, just because I've gotten new information every time I read it here, but it's called and I may have the full title wrong, but it's like Martin Luther King on Leadership. And it's a very good book just talking about his history, talking going all the way back to the bus boycotts when he really first starting and going throughout his entire lifetime. And I share the same birthday as Martin Luther King, so I've always
oh
found him
wow.
very fascinating and interesting. So I've read a lot of information about him and just the things that he's done for civil rights movements and everything else. But in that book, it really taught about like how to be a leader because like when he first get started, he was very hesitant to be a leader. He wasn't actually seeking it out, but he was kind of put in that position and kind of grew from there. And he even talks about some of the mistakes that he made when he kind of first get it started and just the perseverance and how he spoke to people, how he got people to be engaged and in him and go through this and commit to some of the things they're going. Like for the bus boycott wasn't something that was short. That was years long of people having to walk and being able to coordinate rides and being able to do that and getting people to be able to persevere through that for that length of time. I found that to be pretty amazing. And just his whole career of how he's been able to keep people just uplifted was just an amazing thing.
That's a great recommendation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Shawn, for being our guest today. If our listeners want to follow you or find you or your business out there in the world, what's the best place for them to find you?
I would say our website, smartbizit.com. You can go there and find out information about us. On the top of the page is a link to all of our socials as well. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, everything else in between there. You can also find me directly on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me, I'm an open book. I love connecting with people out there in the community. So if you want to send me an invite and say, "Hey, Shawn, I saw you on the podcast. I got a couple questions for you. I just want to be able to connect." I would love to do so.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for being our guest today. We'll link all those things in the show notes for folks as well. And, remember everyone, you can just keep squiggling.
So thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
Is it time for you to add a little squiggle to your career? Join us every week to hear from another guest talk about how they embrace the squiggle.
Subscribe now and find your inspiration.